Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Ali and I am back with another Raid Shadow Legends video. I'm sorry that I have a cold and I don't sound well for this video, but please bear with me. This video is about Emic and 2 painkeepers, and with those 3 champions you can run a full auto team for brutal and hard, and in the other 3 slots I brought a Shemale to deal with the Fearhead and do damage, and in the other 2 slots I brought 1 healer, sort of a healer, a DPS, and 1 DPS. I originally recorded this video with Lydia, and I have some of the damage that I had with the Lydia team. You should be able to see it on your screen right now. So this is the damage for Brutal Hydra, and if we skip to Hard, this is the damage for Hard. So the problem that I had with Lydia was that my Lydia has the Lasting Gift and the Cycle of Magic Masteries, and what happens is that when she has those, the increased speed buff gets extended on either Emic or one of the Painkeepers, and they get out of the tomb. So if you're going to use Lydia or an increased speed champion, make sure that they don't have these masteries or any masteries that give them turn meter, like Arcane Celerity or Rapid Response or Cycle of Magic. So have that in mind. And okay, so let's go see some parts of the run, and while the run is playing, I'll talk about some of the stuff. So let's see the start of the run. So Lydia does the increased speed, and if you look at it, everybody has 2 turn increased speed, but the Painkeeper has 3 turn increased speed. That's because of the Lasting Gift Mastery. And at the start, it's in tune. If you look at it, Emic does his A3 on cooldown. It's always on him. And at around turn 20, Shemale gets 0 on his counter. But since it's still in tune, it's not an issue. And I think the reason that it stayed in tune even at the start was because Lydia was doing his A2 so often that the increased speed, the buff extension mastery didn't really matter, because before it even faded off on other people, she just put it back on. But if she gets provoked in the meantime, and she doesn't do the A2 when she's supposed to do it, it definitely gets out of tune. That's why I say don't have the Lasting Gift or Cycle of Magic masteries on her. And if you look at it at around here until like turn 40, it's still in tune and it's not an issue. But here Emic is supposed to do his A3, but since the team was out of tune, look at it, since the team was out of tune, you see like the increased speed is like on some people and it's not on the other people. He doesn't do his A3 and the Shemale gets swallowed. But without the increased speed buff in your team at all, this wouldn't really be an issue. And I should mention that having increased speed doesn't really matter, because as long as your DPS doesn't get swallowed, you can go like, here it says turn 40, right? 45. You can go to like 500 turns without any issues. If your speeds are low, you can go like as many turns as you want, as long as your champs don't get devoured. But with increased speed, you're going to get to that max number of turns in maybe 300 turns. But without increased speed, you're going to get to that max number of turns in like 450 turns, in 500 turns. But since your champion is not getting swallowed, you're not in trouble, and it doesn't really matter, because even if they get swallowed, because it's like the first time or the second time, as you can see on the boss, the counter on the boss is 5 turns. If it happens at like, if this devour happens at like turn 300, it still would be 5 turns. And the counter on the painkeeper at the start, in the front, if you see it, is 18. If it happens on turn 300 for the first time, it would still be 18. So I hope that makes sense. So even if you get devoured, it's not the end of the world. You can still like recover. But if you don't have the lasting gift mastery, you're not gonna have those kinds of issues. Yep. So let's go see the builds. Let's go see like the other teams that I have for you. So let me show you some team suggestions that I would run for this type of team. Some comp suggestions. So the team that I showed you was this one with Sophirion as my DPS. He does healing too, so he does 2 jobs. There are like other champions, someone like a Walking Tomb Drain that does burns, and he also does healing. There is champions like Tunisia that places burns, like Sophirion. She's an amazing champion, but if you use her, then you'll need someone like an Ugo to heal you. So you need to have some sort of healing in your team and some sort of damage. If your DPS is a champion that hits, like someone like a Razzleguard, you're gonna need block buffs. But if your DPS doesn't land hits and they place burns, someone like a Geomancer, you won't need block buffs. You can bring someone else. So for example, in the first team, you can bring Ugo. At the same time, if you don't want to, you can bring someone else. You can bring maybe another DPS, or if your team is too squishy, just bring an Ugo for the extra healing. It all depends on your gear. And one thing that you can do for your team would be putting the painkeepers in Guardian set, or putting Emic in Guardian. But if you put Emic in the Guardian, it will affect your Shogun team. Yeah, don't do that if you're running Emic and Shogun. You can put your Ugo in a Guardian set. The Guardian really helps to keep your DPS alive. And make sure whoever's in the lead, it should be your DPS or your support. Like either like this Ugo slot or the Geomancer slot. One of these 2 champions can be in the lead. The other 4 cannot be in the lead because it's gonna mess up your tube. So whoever is in the lead, you have to make sure they're very tanky and they can survive. So like if you can give them some sort of a healing set, that would be great. If you can put them in Stalwart, that would be amazing. Defiant, anything that would help them stay alive, because they're gonna outrun your team. Or you can just run them slower than you would normally do, like run him at like 200 speed. Don't run him as fast as he is. Then he wouldn't get too much turn meter from Inquisitor Shamel. So that's something you can do. Either build him too tanky and very fast, or build him very slow and tanky, but still he wouldn't outrun your other DPS. And like these are like some of the options, like these first 3 teams. I mean, Sophirion is just what I have. You can use any champion that places burns. And if you don't have any sort of healing, you can bring either a healer, and if you think the healing that you get from your painkeepers is enough, don't bring a healer. You can also bring healing with sets like Immortal set, Regen, Guardian, and so on. And Shamel here is a DPS, so build him to do damage. I just didn't have silver to build him with more damage. This is just what I have. And in this team, Lydia, as I showed you in the video, the team runs out of tune. But even if it runs out of tune because the counter is stuck at 0 for so long, you have so much time to get your champions out. So that's very good. You shouldn't worry about it too much. So yeah, let's go see the builds. Okay, so the champions that I showed you, one of them was Razzlevarg. He's in lethal set. I tried him out. He's good, but if you're putting him as the lead in like the higher difficulties, like brutal, or even in hard, make sure to give him shield accessories so that he survives with the hits. If you have 2 shield accessories, put them on him, then he hits very hard and he stays alive. And as I said, they need to be tanky enough. And while you're using him, definitely bring Ugo to keep him alive. My Lydia is 300 speed, so since she's faster than my Emic and my painkeepers, she runs out of the tomb. She runs like faster and like loses the buffs. So if you want your Lydia to be in tune with everyone else, run her slower than your Emic. That's all. And my Sulfurion, he's just in my brutal build and nightmare build, 300 accuracy, 286 speed, 3.4k defense, 67k HP. He's very tanky. It would be amazing if he has some resistance too, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, he's in Relentless, and he doesn't have War Master. He has this Mastery for more turn meter because he boosts my team. The Geomancer that I showed you, he is in one set of Immortal set. I tested him out, it works. These are the stats on him. This is my Ugo. Her accuracy is kind of low. This is enough for hard, but not enough for brutal. And she's in Provoke set. You don't need a Provoke set in this team. It would be actually better if you have a Curse set in your team. I already had to change some of the gear around for my other teams. That's why she's in Provoke set. But for this team, she can be in a Curse set, and that would increase your damage a lot because she does a lot of AoEs. And the Shemale that I was using, this is the Shemale. 240 defensive stats, decent attack stats. He doesn't hit that hard with these stats, but if you can build him to do more damage, go for it. This is my first Painkeeper. So one thing that you need to care about Painkeepers is that they heal based on their HP. So the higher their HP is, the more they heal. Also, one more important thing is that they have to have a lot of resistance. 430 and more resistance. Lower than that would cause you issues with the Head of Rast. If the Head of Rast provokes them, your speed tune is just ruined. You can still get your champions out, but your speed tune is ruined. And yeah. And my second Painkeeper, I was trying her out in Reflex set. It was working fine, but it doesn't really make a difference. So she's the same, fast, tanky enough with a lot of resistance. I would love to get more defense on her, but this is just the gear I had, and I'm out of silver. And this is my Emic. This is the Emic that I use in Phantom Shogun. I have a video on it. If you haven't watched it, definitely go watch it. You won't be disappointed. He's got 500 resistance because he's the Head of Mischief is target for Head of Mischief. And yep, this is it for Emic. So just a reminder again, make sure you have 430 or more resistance on your Painkeepers. Make sure you have 460, 480 resistance or 4080 resistance or more on your Emic because he's the target of Mischief. And Painkeepers these champions don't have to have like a specific speed. They just have to be Emic has to be like 270 and the Painkeepers have to be slower. The reason he's at 270 is because I use him in Phantom Shogun, and the other Painkeeper that I showed you, the first one, is the same Painkeeper that I use in Phantom Shogun again. So 1 bullet, 2 stones, is that what I say? And the second one is just decent gear that I had around. It's not a exact speed. You can run her at 240, you can run her at 260. Doesn't really matter that much as long as she's not too far off below Emic. And the DP and your DPS can be around that too. As long as they're not faster than Emic, you should be okay at keeping them alive. So yeah, this is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any more questions, please leave a comment and please subscribe and let me know what you want to see in the future. I really hope you build this team and enjoy it. This is a very potent team. Also, there is another version of it that I think Bronco Raid Shadow Legends came up with, that instead of the second DPS, like instead of Lydia, he was using a Man-Eater and made it fully unkillable, but the damage on that team won't be as high. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, I'll see you guys later, and I hope you have a great day. See ya.